Hey, Fox News.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. So I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel. And they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021 when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it again 2 years later. My second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me, so I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are. And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV. But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
Yeah, I was actually talking about that the other day, that America's still, these three-letter agencies are still spying on Americans. They've never stopped. They only say that they've stopped, but we know that they haven't. So, yeah, we know. We know. But another thing I've done is I've reached out into some more directions to try to get my book pushed and find some avenues of approach on getting it published without all the red tape I've been running into. Because I've been running into a lot of more or less barriers than anything. So I've reached out in other directions and kind of promoted my book some more. So if you couldn't tell, and you can't really tell, but I got a new boom arm. My microphone's still heavy as hell, and I have to essentially brace it with this little tie thing, because this microphone is heavy. It's really, really heavy. The cool thing about it is I've got it to where I can tighten it no matter what. No matter what, I'll be able to tighten this thing. The boom arm comes with like these cable ties. It allows you to wrap the cable around it, and they're Velcro ties. It allows you to kind of tie the cable to the arm. But I'm using it. I've taken them all, I've separated them out, and I've threaded them end to end. And seeing as they're Velcro, you can just like lay them like this end to end. And I've got it wrapped up and holding on to the string that holds my cable up. Because my cable is actually mounted underneath the shelving. It's mounted with a piece of hemp cable, hemp cord. But the way I have it mounted up there, I'm able to run this Velcro strap through it and essentially use it to brace the boom arm so that the weight of the microphone isn't like pushing down as much as it is because, like I said, this microphone is heavy. I could probably take it off of where it's at. I should probably build a handle for it to where I can hold it if I wanted to. Sit back, just kind of like commentate back here, just chill. Because this cable I have for it is super long. It's really long. I can probably stretch it over and sit on the couch and still talk to stream and still record whatever. And it would sound like I'm sitting right here like I am now. That's why I have the hemp cord tying it up. You guys that killed Julio Fulio? Sending more Marines. See, the crazy thing about it is we don't get our oil. Like, we don't get like any fuel that we have, any gas. I guess any gas that we have here, fuel, petroleum we have here, it's already been bought and paid for. So gas prices increasing because of this war thing. It's, as I said the other day, it's a scammy shell game by these companies that they're purposely doing this stuff to cost us more money. Like, so many people have already said it as well, that we shouldn't be paying an increase in price in any fuel. It's how you can see that all this stuff is a marketing scheme.
You guys want it? You want to put this on television? You want to put this on the YouTubes? We have a pursuit, and it's going on the freeway, and this guy apparently likes Pokemon. They're chasing him for poor life choices. Tell me when we're live, please. Oh, look at this. 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 Hi, buddy. Bye, buddy. We're live on KCal? All right. Oh, we're going to put it on the air? Woo! Oh, my gosh. Oh, let's put up the speedometer for a minute. I didn't think that thing could go 100 miles an hour.
What, a Toyota Camry?
Are we getting on another freeway? What are we doing? We're right by Biscaloo. Right by Biscaloo. Yeah, he's gonna run out of freeway here in a minute. Where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going? This is a bad spot to be driving like a maniac. Oh my God! Oh!
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! Whoa! Okay. All right, that was a good adrenaline rush. Now stop. Yeah, I was gonna say that was. Oh, come on with the trees! No! I, hang on.
Probably dumping evidence behind the trees.
That was a stop sign, buddy. Got a little something. Got a more of something. There he goes again. I don't like these. I love trees, but I don't like these trees. Yes, sir. Yes, I have IFB. Who is talking to me? Christian? I didn't hear Christian at all. I'm being serious. But I heard Lisa just a moment or two ago. Yeah, now I got you. Copy. Is there any PD behind him? Woo! Hey,
Hit that
well, we're actually going
motorcyclist.
to be right now in Southgate. That vehicle you see right there, they were in pursuit in the South Los Angeles area. Apparently, somebody saw this guy inhaling balloons. And if you're, I would venture to say it wasn't helium that he was inhaling. He wasn't making funny voices. They got behind him and a pursuit was on. But now this was in the South Los Angeles area. They lost the vehicle, or they made the decision to kind of back off. It was a good probably 15, 20 minutes later, that vehicle reappeared on the 710, just ran a red light right there, and the pursuit was back on. The helicopter, that's going to be the CHP helicopter, is actually the one that reacquired this and was following it. There were, there they are. I was going to say, those guys don't mess around. Some California, look at that, wrong side of the road, and the risks that we've been seeing. Sometimes we like to poke a little fun at these pursuits, but this one, really, really scary stuff. That's clearly a driver that may not be in the right mind right now. When we were on that 710, he got off on that off-ramp. He kind of got squirrely more than a couple times, really high speeds. That little Toyota Corolla working, and that driver probably
I know it's a Toyota.
the best move.
Camry or
That
Corolla.
pursuit continued. Now we're on surface
It's small,
streets out
so
here.
probably.
It's a dead-end road right here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, he made the dead end. This is always really scary. One unit from California Highway Patrol right there. Oh, he had his moment, and he let it go. But that probably the better choice. California Highway Patrol, they do have the helicopter over it. Even if that car gets a little behind, they're going to have locations. Right now, we're definitely in the east. Well, it says Southgate, but I can tell you we're in East Los Angeles right there, and that pursuit continues. This guy is running red lights constantly, wrong side of the road, extremely high speeds, and definitely inebriated in some form. So this is an extremely dangerous situation. Now the center lane, wrong side of the road once again, and you can see those speeds. This is, I just worried for the folks on the ground, the civilians that may be out there, and of course law enforcement. And I'm also worried about that driver. I don't want to see anybody lose their life or get some major injuries on something where he could just pull over, ladies.
White guy. He's playing with his radio.
Yeah, they have the sunroof open. We saw inside that front window more than a couple of times. It definitely appears to be just that one person. I'm super tight right now, just trying to get some better looks, but this guy is continually getting close calls out there. This is not just one off. He continually gets so close to so many of those vehicles running through those intersections, and again, these high speeds. Now, the California Highway Patrol helicopter overhead, so they're definitely going to keep an eye on it. This road right here, I'm going to just probably, oh, it is, it's Telegraph, and it just basically parallels the freeways. But you know what? He's doing 60 miles an hour. Luckily, this portion right here doesn't have a lot of traffic on it, but you know that there's going to be another intersection coming up. This guy has not even really slowed down for some of these red lights. My concern, somebody's going to be just driving, you know, doing the drive, not expecting somebody going 70 miles an hour to appear out of nowhere. You know, you got the green light, you're going to take the green light. Wrong side of the road again. You can see all these cars waiting. Oh, that was lucky. At least that one was probably just turned green. California Highway Patrol, their vehicles still on the ground, cutting a corner right there. But look at that. What is that? Oh, come on. I hope they didn't hit each other. But boy, that was super close. And this guy's just kind of cutting around him, saying, hey, thank you for that. Going through an alleyway. I kind of wonder if maybe he knows where he's going, because that seemed a little bit deliberate where he was going right there. Back into another residential neighborhood. He's got to know that he cannot outrun the helicopter. But continually with these very high-risk maneuvers, seems like we're getting back onto the 5 freeway right now. California Highway Patrol, I know they have vehicles nearby, close by, trying to get to aid that one that was the only one that was behind them. Let's see if they pick it up once again. Right now, you're going to be on the northbound 5 freeway, and really, truly, the only person he's running from is his own demons. There is no black and whites behind him. There's the one on Telegraph. Basically, that 2 that are going to probably be joining this pursuit once again. But those speeds, that's what really worries me. Oof.
If people like this shouldn't be.
Exactly. And, you know, these are the calls that, you know, the professionals get paid to make. And in this case, I think that they are trying to catch up. California Highway Patrol definitely trying to get other vehicles, other officers in line to get back behind them. And again, the biggest
Going on
part
for about
is
9 minutes.
to get this guy to stop. But they
Flying
want
around.
safety. They're concerned about the public. They're concerned about, there you go, a little bit of a fishtail once again. You know, those Toyotas, you know, great cars, but definitely not a high-performance vehicle. You know, coming off that off-ramp at those high speeds, you got a little fishtaily right there. That's not the first time we saw it. Now we're doing a nice 3-point turn. At least that one was okay. But again, where is he going? You know, people ask that question all the time, and then sometimes I'm like, how are we supposed to know? But in this case, I'm really kind of wondering, what is this guy doing? He gets off the freeway, he gets back on the freeway. And you can see the California Highway Patrol exiting right now. They're going to be getting on that freeway, so they'll be up behind them shortly. And when they do, at least they'll be able to warn the public. Those lights and sirens will be on. But that reckless driving, I don't think it can get any worse if there's an officer behind them. And that's the reason why they back off sometimes. They're just like, let's back off. Let's let that driver get a minute. Maybe we're crowding it. Maybe we're too close. But, you know, in this case, these speeds, 104 miles an hour, look at that. Skyfox doesn't lie. And using the gore point, yes.
It makes me wonder if this guy has priors. I'm going to say yes. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say he's probably a violent criminal too.
Under the influence, pretty much for sure. Again, you know what? I have to be honest. I am of that age where, apparently he was inhaling. These are unconfirmed reports that we've heard. Was inhaling something from balloons, and that's usually nitrous oxide. I don't know the lasting effects of nitrous oxide. Don't know if this guy's continuing
He's
to
tweaking.
inhale any nitrous oxide.
Makes
But
him
what
tweak.
we can tell you is the reckless driving is
Like they nod
a
out
fact
for a moment,
sure.
then they
California Highway
go into like
Patrol, they have
tweaker
to deal
mode.
with this person probably inebriated or under the influence of something. And again, at these high speeds, that Toyota Corolla, we've seen him fishtail a couple of times, hard on the brakes. This thing is just going to slide. We've seen it. We know it. Here comes another off-ramp, and he's doing 70. And a hard turn right there. At least he didn't fishtail into that other vehicle and making his way into the San Gabriel. Look at that. Oh, I just always picture the drivers
Lucky the
of
traffic's
those vehicles. And
slowed
again,
down because of congestion.
I say it
And
because
you can
it's the
tell
truth.
who's not a
Every time
criminal and
that
who
happens,
is.
I tell you, my blood runs cold. Another dead end. This guy's been pulling up a lot of jokers in his deck of cards today. Is this going to give time for the California Highway Patrol to catch up? I'm going to stay a little wider. I see them somewhere nearby. But again, you saw the helicopter. That's going to be the CHP helicopter. He's calling out the same information that we see on the screen right now, giving that information to law enforcement on the ground. It's probably not just California Highway Patrol. I venture to say we're in the San Gabriel area, probably their own police department out here as well. But right now, the pursuit continues. Now we're in neighborhoods. Can it get any more scary for us watching? I can't really say. I just don't want to see this vehicle collide with anybody. Oof, that was tight. You know what? Look at that. Did you see him just weave between those cars right there? Yeah, and wriggling between those cars. That's probably the best word. Another crazy U-turn right there, cutting off a work van. I was hopeful. I was like, maybe he's got a flat tire. Maybe something's going on. It does look pretty solid when we got that closer shot. Definitely looks like he's in that vehicle by himself. And now we're back up onto a freeway again. It looks like a lot less traffic out here, but I know this portion of the 710 right this time of day, probably not too much, as I believe we're in the very beginning part of the northern part of the 710. At least the speeds are slowing down a little. Well, now we're back up into 90, but he's still going about 10 miles slower than he has been in the past. Maybe that's a plus. I can't really say.
Back over 100.
Right now, though, the freeway looks a little wide open, maybe a little suspiciously wide open. Maybe California Highway Patrol is there, maybe doing a little bit of a break, but you can see it now. He's getting back into the mix of things. A lot of other vehicles on the roadway. Those speeds climbing back up again, and the danger continues out here in the East LA San Gabriel area. Definitely. Every time I see this guy go off onto the emergency lane or cut through those gore points, I'm just that guy. When I drive that, well, I don't drive like that, but when I cut across something like trying to get on the freeway in traffic, I mean, I'm helping other people, but I always wind up with nails in my tire. That's the reason why I'm like very hesitant. This guy probably didn't pick up any nails. He's going 100 miles an hour right now, a little bit over, and again, using the emergency lane, cutting through the gore point, flying by all these other vehicles, and thank goodness at least he's not getting very close. There's another gore point to other cars. When he does, that's really when I get worried, especially at those high speeds. You're driving along, you look in the mirror, there's nothing there, you turn on your blinker, and you make that lane change. You weren't expecting somebody coming up on you at 100 miles an hour. And this guy, inebriated or not, he's still going 100, and somebody might look like they're just trying to cut him off. I'm seeing a lot of traffic. But he's in the carpool lane right now. I don't think that's his biggest worry, but definitely a lot of dead. Now he's cutting across, but definitely getting a little bit more traffic out there, and this might create more problems or more safety issues for the public. Whoop, whoop. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how many priors this guy's got.
Yeah.
Guaranteed he's got a rap sheet.
Yeah, my hopeful comment to that is where he's going to go is into a pair of cuffs and spend some time in a cell somewhere and not have to go to a hospital. There you go again. It just shows you. Look at him kind of swerving around there. That probably is not his driving. That's going to be the car responding. Kind of boxed himself in, but you know what? He always finds a hole to get out. Going out, we're going to do some more of that interesting turns there in that intersection, and the pursuit continues. As far as California Highway Patrol,
Nowhere to be found.
They have definitely backed off enough so that this guy is literally just driving by himself. Going to stay a little wide there. He didn't. That's him, right? Yeah, that's him. So maybe he thought about it there for a minute because it seemed like he took a little longer than usual to get out from underneath that bridge. That seems to be the common move for a lot of these folks lately is you get under, folks meaning the people that are being pursued by law enforcement, you get underneath one of those overpasses and then you kind of park or you make it wait a little bit and kind of try to sneak out the other direction. Right now, though, looks like we're choosing, okay, we're getting back up onto Atlantic and Washington. So this area very busy, the 5 freeway very close by. We'll see which one he picks. I can tell you that road that he chose, if he stays on it, going to be very bumpy. But as far as him, cracking a rim or something like that, I don't think that's going to affect this incident right now. But the chase continues. California Highway Patrol, their helicopter's still over it. I think they gave their guys on the ground a little bit of a break. And again, we talked about it. Is that good or is that bad for the public? Now you don't have those sirens. It's somebody's decision that gets paid a lot more than I do to make those difficult choices. Look at that. Got some cones out there. And again, just trying to squeeze his way through. Dude, there's nobody behind you. There's nobody behind you. Just take your time, relax, get a couple breaths for me and him. Thank you. Yes.
I can hear sirens right now. Obviously, I'm not in LA. Yeah, my neighborhood, that's all you hear. All you hear in my neighborhood is sirens. Mostly
Yes.
police.
Yes. Oh, no. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh, and this is the thing. It's like whoever was in that black car, he's going to have like a little story to tell when he gets home tonight. But thank goodness it didn't get into an accident. Oh, are we getting gas? Oh, this is just getting more and more bizarre. I'm going to stay a little wide to see if he runs off. But if he's really getting gas, this is going to be one of those ones where you're going to say, we have seen it all. Up, he changed his mind. There he goes. Maybe, you know what? Maybe he dropped off some paraphernalia. That could have been part of it too. But at any rate,
didn't see him go to any.
I'm not sure how.
And he would have to go to the backside if there was a trash can on it.
Safety and the evading law enforcement probably going to be more of a problem than the original want where he was inhaling. But right now we're continuing on a little slower speeds. That's a good thing. We're in a neighborhood out here. California Highway Patrol, their helicopter's still here. Ground units seem to have backed off.
Not stopping.
Maybe they'll take that opportunity, what they saw right there, to get a little closer and maybe re-engage this pursuit. Whoa!
That car ain't gonna be able to withstand some of them. A lot of those, yeah, happen. Don't have the
I wonder if
suspension.
we are already on YouTube. Well, guys and gals and kids, we are. If we're up on YouTube right now, I can be a little bit more forthcoming. There he goes. He just threw the canister out. He just threw the canister out. Pine and 61st. Pine and 61st. I'm just amazed that that is such a, a thing to do. I don't understand that. I mean, there were other generations that sniffed glue that I didn't understand that either. But, the nitrous oxide and continuing just to run all these stop signs in a residential area. I mean, we have the opportunity to take a look and see if somebody's coming. Got another speed bump right there. If you are just joining us, and I don't know how that works, but if you can rewind it, I mean, that little Toyota got a little airtime, very little, but definitely got a little airtime at a couple of points out there, making his way through some of these residential neighborhoods. If you're just joining us here on the YouTubes, this is Pursuit taking place. Right now we're in Southgate. We're in East Los Angeles. Was in the South Los Angeles area. That driver apparently inhaling nitrous oxide. That's what got this whole thing started. California Highway Patrol in an unincorporated part of South LA was the ones that basically got behind him. The originally started chasing him, but I'm not sure if they lost the vehicle or it was traffic issues or they just decided it was too dangerous. But that vehicle popped up again.
Thank you for the follow.
He made some good distance between where this thing started to where they picked him up again. You can see the speeds. I got everything up right there. I don't have to call out the streets or even the speedometer. But you can get an idea how dangerous this is. This guy just blowing through every red light, squeezing between a lot of cars. We've seen 3 very, very close calls. Some really cool street art right there. But at any rate, we're continuing on right there. And
Why do I have
again,
what on my
say, well, why don't they have anybody
files?
behind him? And I wonder if he's going to get into another dead end. We've had 2 dead ends. Huh? It's a little turnaround down there. So, at any rate, maybe there's a California Highway Patrol. Well, he made it home. That's good. The dogs are happy.
You have no
to see
clue
him.
what you're fucking talking about.
How was your drive?
So if you're gonna come in here and act like a fool,
anyways,
then go away.
Kind of on a run there, he's gonna be like, "No, man, it wasn't me. Mom, I brought your
Fucking
car back."
art files.
Anyways, that's what we're seeing right now.
Applications.
Well, clearly, we won't know where that car is. And inside that home, I would venture to say that is his
Shut the
house.
fuck up, dude.
Stay a little wider, just
go
in case
away.
he, pops
I hate
out a back
retarded
door
ass
or
people.
a side door. But
Stupid
definitely
fucking.
coming to an end. I know maybe some people are saying, well, that was uneventful. You know what? At least nobody died.
Fucking retards, dude.
That's the way I look at it. I'm not sure.
Oh, you're the one with that on your desktop. Shut up. Fucking go fuck off.
But definitely this is going to be one
go
of those
find
ones
somebody else to fuck with. Retarded motherfucking people.
Knock and just take this guy into custody, or maybe a parental unit might say,
fuck you talking about?
Doing? I'm not, I'm not going to protect you. That was some really dumb stuff you did there. But at any rate, this is what's going on. I wonder if wouldn't it be ironic if this guy was the parent was watching on our YouTube channel or on channel 11. But that's what we got right now. The dogs are inside the yard. The gate is closed. The car is parked. And the canister of nitrous oxide was tossed off somewhere by 61st and Pine, and that's what's going on. That's it. I don't know what else I got for you.
Oh, I got home.
On the ground. Oh, it's probably a dog toy. Either that or it's some kind of a. Oh yeah, it's a dog toy. I was gonna say maybe it was a giant bullfrog. But at any rate, I can tell you, officers have the location. The helicopter knows where the car went.
Got home.
See their shadow right there. Just waiting for the law enforcement to show up. But again, thank you guys for joining us for the exciting parts on YouTube. Now we're got to the part where we just kind of sit here and just kind of keeping an eye on the house, seeing if this guy tries to sneak out. You know, maybe he's going to go in there, change his clothes, shave his head real quick, and be like, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about. I've got a crew cut and a T-shirt." But I don't think law enforcement's going to be fooled so easily. And at any rate, we're sitting there waiting for the officers to arrive.
That's crazy.
I'm kind of curious to see how they handle it.
I didn't see him get out.
And they are coming down the street now. So get an idea how dangerous this is. At any rate, maybe there's a California Highway Patrol. Well, he made it home. That's good. The dogs are happy to see him. Hey, buddy, how was your drive? Ah, man, you wouldn't believe it. Anyways, kind of on a run there, he's going to be like, "No, man, it wasn't me. Mom, I brought your car back." Anyways, that's what we're seeing right now. He's closing the gate. Well, clearly we won't know where that car is. And inside that home, I would venture to say that is his house. Going to stay a little wider just in case head real quick and be like, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about.
Neighbors don't know what happened.
In a T-shirt." But
neighbors are just walking around unsuspecting.
So easily. And at any rate, we're sitting there waiting for the officers to arrive. I'm kind of curious to see how they handle it. And they are coming down the street now. So yeah, they probably got the address just like we do. So is that them? No, that's not them. On the majors? Okay. Yeah. And if you guys are on YouTube and you're listening to me and you're probably like, is he answering voices in his head? Well, we're going to keep that one to ourselves. Hey, they got some chickens out here. A rooster. That's a good-looking rooster. He's out walking with his gal. It's a beautiful day for a walk in Southern California. Actually, we're in East Los Angeles, but it's still Southern California. Yeah. Stu, this is not as interesting as the, Cops are nearly here. All right, well, you know what, that's, there they go, here they come. I'm just
hey, look at that, the police.
And what I was getting at before I got distracted by the, I'm not even going to say that, not even on YouTube, the attractive rooster. I'm talking to my pilot. I'm not up here by myself. I'm not a monolith. I actually have other people up here with me, well, person, and that would be Dylan this afternoon. And I do have other people in my ear, but that would be on the radios. But what's going on from here? Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is the thing, guys. You go out there, you drive crazy, 100 miles an hour, cut off a bunch of people, scare a bunch of people. These guys are going to show up with their weapons out. And this is where things could really go sideways. But you can see law enforcement here on scene.
They got the high power out.
We'll see how this all goes.
Know for a fact that that's the car. Run out the back. Somebody's work truck's at house. See if he swirls out the back. I bet.
You know, you're brave enough to do the crime.
Have the whole place surrounded. Come out with your hands up.
Oh, I don't think they know. I don't think they know where it's at. The helicopter's got to be telling them it's the one with the gate closed.
Nah, they know which one. They've had the license plate relayed to them.
Pardon me? Okay.
Somebody at the door.
No, we didn't. We've been pretty much wide on the whole thing until that rooster and the hen was there, and then yeah, that's probably when he snuck out. Probably was watching on the app and was like, "Oh, he's out. He's not looking at me." Yeah. Yeah, he just kind of bounded out and jumped in there.
Yeah, he knew he was committing a crime. Sure.
I'm getting a text about the verbiage. Anyways, dude, just go outside. Come out with your hands up.
what, 8 cops? Light cop?
See, Dylan, if we were CHP officers, I'd be one of these guys over here just kind of kicking it, and that'd be you right there with your rifle out. Yeah, ready to, always a serious one. Always a serious one, ready to work. And I'd be just like walking around, probably like, hey, where'd that rooster go? Me too. Me too. You and I both. Dylan's just commenting on how exciting this pursuit has gotten.
Mm-hmm. It went from exciting to nothing.
Is that a non-CHP guy? Yeah, City of Bell. Ring my bell, ring my bell. Anyway, so yeah, now it's kind of just a standoff. I don't think you can just like plop into bed and, you know, take a nap real quick, pass out. What's he got going on in his yard there?
Feeling psychopath.
Moy's asking me, Moy, you got to know what the one is. He was inhaling nitrous, apparently, and I'm back to SOS, so I can't get on the YouTubes, and I wish I could. It would be a good distraction, and I could at least make the time go by quicker reading your comments. I wonder how you get into like a place like that, especially since you closed the gate. I mean, do they bust down the door? I mean, it's going to be expensive to repair that. And do they have a door? I mean, you got the gate, but is there like a... I mean, when I say they got the gate, they got the big electric gate for the driveway, but do they have like a gate, like a door?
Not a white guy. Put on different clothes, if that was going to matter. Gang unit? Kind of, I wonder, it makes me wonder what kind of prior charges dude had. No way he doesn't have a rap sheet. You act like that, got a rap sheet.
Look at that. He's hanging halfway out. I'd be surprised if he even has a foot on the gas or on the brake pedal at this point. It's just kind of rolling on its own. Maybe he's trying to talk to the LAPD that are directly behind him. but clearly has something to say.
What the
We
fuck?
begin this morning with breaking news. A wild scene as multiple police officers chase an MTA bus that had been hijacked. All of this playing out on the streets of downtown Los Angeles. That chase eventually turned into a very tense standoff. That standoff turned into a dramatic rescue this morning after police saved the bus driver being held hostage.
Yeah, busy morning. One other person has been taken to the hospital. KTLA's Carlos Herrera live for us this morning with the very latest details. Good morning from downtown, Carlos.
Hey, good morning, and a heavy police presence here this morning. Alameda and 6th Street, right between 6th and 7th. Actually, you can see this area blocked off, and far in the distance there, you can see that metro bus parked near the sidewalk. You see it there with the message, emergency call 911, and you can see that message there. That's ultimately what police say saved this driver's life. We're hearing multiple people were taken to the hospital, and we're also learning that the suspect was also taken into custody after barricading himself inside the bus. The driver, also held at gunpoint, is now.
People losing their mind.
Keep an eye on those pesky billionaires, because who was that one billionaire who made out like a bandit when the two towers came down because he had taken out a massive insurance policy on them right beforehand? Oh, that's right. Larry Silverstein. You remember him, huh? Well, guess what? He just bought a giant U.S. bank skyscraper in downtown LA, right after all the warnings of a major potential attack coming to LA. And here's the building he bought. So for all of you living in California and LA, if you work here, I might look for a new career field for a little while. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today we're talking about false flag season. Pretty much the hottest topic in media over the last couple of days. Everywhere you look, people are talking about an incoming false flag, and it does make sense. I mean, we are kind of in an unprecedented moment that is probably the most likely.
I said we're seeing essentially a reoccurrence of 2001, pre 9/11, just right as it kicked off. Once the terrorist attacks happened, and it was all every man, woman, and child for themselves. I mean, we saw it happening 2001. So thinking 2026 is going to be any different? Much more of the same. Rich people manipulating the world's economies using war and the front of war. As I said it the other day. It all feels like a next false flag, next 9/11. Everybody must hate Muslims.
scenario for us to have a massive, major false flag attack on the continental United States since 25 years ago. And we're going to talk about the reasons for that and why. We're also going to show you all the way the government is signaling that something may be coming. And you know, looking at what rich people are doing is always a good idea, because when the FBI says there's a giant attack coming to LA and all of the billionaires in LA are leaving the area, yeah, we should pay attention to that. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon, and let's get this flag season. The reality is this. The United States and our greatest ally are not currently winning this war, and the main reason for that is there is no end state. Right? There is no winning. That's part of the problem here, is that if you don't have any end goal objective, what does winning even mean? It doesn't mean anything. And as you see here, U.S. intel shows Iran's leadership is still intact and not at risk of collapse despite Trump and Netanyahu's costly military campaign.
I kind of said this too. Not same way, but if it's to be believed, then the Khamenei's son is still alive. He's not going nowhere, but he's still alive. He's still the essentially the leader, if you will, the next line of succession. So they didn't take out all of the military leaders. Essentially, we're just spending a ton of money to drop bombs on
Pain. So what that means is, yes, an air campaign, a bombing campaign, it's not doing anything other than killing civilians. And our own generals came out in a hearing yesterday and even said themselves, air campaigns don't facilitate regime change. They just increase the resolve of the populace. So what that means is the bombing campaign's not going to do anything at the end of the day. So what do you then need if you need to facilitate regime change? Well, if we look at history in the United States, it's always been some type of major attack on the home front. Let's do a little quick history lesson so we understand that it has always been this way in every war that the United States gets itself into. World War I, why did we finally get into that war? Because German U-boats were sinking American trade vessels. World War II, how did the United States finally get into that one? Pearl Harbor. And what do we know historically about Pearl Harbor? The government most likely knew about it and let it happen. Vietnam, well, do we remember how we got into that one? Oh, that's right, the Gulf of Tonkin, where the United States claimed that Vietnam had been attacking U.S. destroyer ships, which turned out not to be true. Oh, what was that big one about 25 years ago? Well, we all know that one, don't we? And so my point here is whether these are actual organic attacks or whether they're potential false flags or soft false flags, which we should probably talk about that real quick so you understand that. Is a soft false flag is something like Pearl Harbor, where the United States government may have known it's coming and just decides to not do anything because they want to get drug into the conflict. Kind of just like those two towers in New York, right? And so the point being is all of those things were needed for an official public support, the patriotism drum up to launch ground campaigns and invasions. Because there's no way the Trump administration can just go for it out of nowhere. They need some type of massive event to increase public opinion on this, which is abysmal currently, as we know that it is the least popular war through polling, across all polling, in American history. Now that we know that, what are we being told by our own government, right? The FBI is warning police departments in California that Iran could potentially launch an unmanned drone swarm attack on the West Coast. Ooh. And this is being signaled everywhere in the government, especially by the neocons. Here's Ted Cruz saying that the United States should prepare for T attacks from Iranian sleeper cells located in the country. Donald Trump himself says he's been briefed on Iranian sleeper cells in the United States, claims authorities know where most of them are. We're going to talk about that in a second.
They try to hit us back. Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Okay. So let's pause for a second. So Diaper Don here says that not only are there a bunch of Iranian sleeper cells, we actually know who they are and exactly where they are, and we're watching them. Hey buddy, you remember ICE? Maybe instead of spending all their time trying to take down grandmas and food trucks, we could have been, I don't know, for the last 12 months, going after all the Iranian sleeper cells that you knew about and know exactly where they are. So, okay, great, thanks. But again, it's all signaling, and you're seeing the media jump in on it too.
The FBI warning of possible Iranian drone attacks on our homeland. A new alert reviewed by ABC News revealing Iran's aspirations.
I said all of the yesterday. I've been saying this days ago.
To conduct a surprise attack specifically against
Saying
unspecified
it's all
targets
psyop,
in
but
California.
This has got to be
I
one
kind
of
of
the
called
dumbest.
I kind of called it for what it is. Like it's all manufactured sensationalism or manufactured yeah, sensationalize everything to get everybody to go out, spend money, support the war in Iran. We need more troops in Iran. Then we can't let them attack America.
IOPS of all time.
So, yes, this is the big thing they're signaling, the FBI, Trump, the media, that there's going to be Iranian drone strikes on California, and they're even it's guys, it's the worst developed psyop I've ever seen. They're even signaling this. And no way, there was 4 military drones that just happened to get stolen from Fort Campbell right after all of this push started? Huh. And here's the 2 suspects who stole those drones, but don't worry, the FBI has said they're no threat to the public. Okay. Now, before we talk about what the threat to California actually is, let's talk about why this is the dumbest psyop anybody has ever tried to put forward. This false flag will be the dumbest thing anybody's ever seen. Here's why. Iran is currently completely emboldened at the moment with no ground invasion. They are 100% able to hold their own right now. Why would they want to attack the U.S. home front and guarantee that one of 2 things happen? Donald Trump launches a massive ground campaign to come invade the country, or we just drop some nukes on him. Why would they do that to themselves? Does that strategically actually make any sense? Why would you want to try to force that upon yourself if you're Iran? What Iran is actually doing is cratering the Gulf states around them to force them to capitulate and break ties with the United States, which is what's actually happening. Now, could Iran pull off this giant drone strike?
That's why Iran attacked the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. To get Iraq to cut ties with the United States out of fear that they're going to get constantly attacked by Iran. Like it's how all this stuff works. Like the development of war.
California. I'm supposed to believe that Iran is going to launch drones from across the world and hit the West Coast. Now, at first, that may sound like the silliest thing ever, but there is one scenario where this actually is possible. And rather than me do a whole section on it, I'm actually just going to divert you to the best video on the internet by far on this specific topic. And that is our buddy Jack from Black Scout Survival did a whole video on that. I'll put it in the description. You can go watch it, explaining how, yes, Iran actually could pull off some type of drone swarm attack on the United States using shipping containers that could potentially be on big shipping vessels that are sitting outside the port of LA. So it is possible. Is it likely? No, because of course, strategically, it doesn't make any sense for Iran. So while you may see things like
they would sign their death warrant,
drone T-word attacks and individuals,
like it would literally give Israel what they want. That's the chance to goad America into nuking as many Muslims as possible.
these mass shootings and things that we're seeing as potential low-level ones, you're talking about with a drone attack. This is a state actor, state-sponsored attack, and if that actually happens, the odds that it's actually Iran that did it is abysmally low. But we got to keep an eye on those pesky billionaires, because who was that one billionaire who made out like a bandit when the two towers came down because he had taken out a massive insurance policy on them right beforehand? Oh, that's right. Larry Silverstein. You remember him, huh? Well, guess what? He just bought a giant U.S. bank skyscraper in downtown L.A. right after all the warnings of a major potential attack coming to L.A. And here's the building he bought. So for all of you living in California and LA, if you work here, I might look for a new career field for a little while. But it's not just him. Who else has fled California recently? It looks like Peter Thiel, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Larry Ellison, David Sachs, Mark Zuckerberg, and Carl Icahn, all very, very closely tied to this administration. That means just all big coincidences, I'm sure. I hope, at least. Then we also got to talk about these low...
I'm not going to say almost a guarantee, but it's shaping up to be something major is going to happen in LA, California. Something major is going to happen.
Or more like homegrown T-word attacks that we're seeing around, like on the synagogues and on campuses and things like that recently. Here's the big problem with the environment that we are in, is that it's not an false flag only environment. And what I mean by that is a friendly reminder that we decided to kill the Ayatollah, and most people around the country don't really understand the fact that how significant this is that he's not the leader of Iran, he's the leader of Shia Muslims, right? Of Shia Islam. That's who he's the leader of. He's essentially the Shia Pope. And so, yeah, when you decide to take someone like that out, it's going to enrage the entire Muslim world. And think about if the Catholic Pope would have been bombed and killed by Iran, the response that...
The unfortunate thing about it is, with something like that, is yeah, it's bad. You blew up the Muslim Pope. But the Muslim Pope was also funding all kind of war crimes, crimes against humanity, essentially funding the terror of people. So something has to be done. You can't just kind of let it keep going. Otherwise, you're going to kind of lead everybody into a bad way anyway. So one of those things that we should have backed the people. We should have pressured their government to stop hiding whatever they're hiding, turn the internet back on. There were things that we could have done to pressure them into changing, but the kind of people that regime is, they're not they want total control. It would be one thing if he was only the Shia Pope, not put himself in standing of calls all the shots of the country. So he might, the people that really run the country are government, not the government military. That's really who runs the country. Their military. Leading general of the military. Probably who really runs
we would have had. Add that to things like the United States, 185 little squirrel girls with Tomahawk missiles. Yeah, we are in a situation where, yes, you could very well see sleeper cell type attacks come to the home front because we pissed off the entire world. Then you add that to the fact that the government and other state entities and state actors also know that this is the environment and that they can leverage and take advantage of that. Because if the public thinks that a massive organic attack is coming, well, you're rife in a situation to take advantage of that. Now, even if you're not the one that carries those attacks out, you can definitely leverage them to your advantage through things like Islamophobia to drum up that patriotism you need to keep that war effort going. And so when you see things like this, my big suggestion to people is watch the response from the government and the media. It will tell you everything you need to know if this is organic or most likely a false flag. And if we look at this, something like this, where 150 officers somehow all got there within 5 minutes and the FBI reported on it 20 minutes later, yeah, these ones are usually a little suspicious. Yeah, that's a lot.
I've never seen a police response like that to anything in this country.
Oh, they don't even show out like that to a fallen colleague.
The FBI was reporting on it within 30 minutes. Bitch, get the f out of my face.
Think about something like Uvalde, right? Like it took forever the police to get there and then they still wouldn't enter the building. Like you can usually tell the ones that are organic based off the response and the ones that are probably a little fishy. And so while some people are talking about how, oh, the people talking about this are fear-mongering, well, first of all, our own government is telling us this is going to happen, so you should pay the attention when they say things out loud. But two, no, everyone should be talking about this. Everybody should be calling out the potential for false flags, because the more people that are talking about this, the more people that are noticing, less likely that the government or some other state actor or entity or foreign government is going to try to pull something like this off, because they know the public perception of it is going to immediately be, this is bullshit, we don't believe it. And then it's a completely worthless false flag because you can't leverage what you're trying to leverage, which is PSYOP public opinion change. So I hope to God we don't see anything like this and they realize like, nah, the American people aren't going to buy it this time, and we don't even have to see anything like this at all. But never count out a failing government and a failing president to do something insane to try to drum up support. So we'll find out. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we're all going to find out one way or another. And that's going to do it for this one. Catch y'all in the next video.
Yeah, it's pretty much good. This is run. I hate sneezing because in it
Guys, something weird is happening over California right now. Federal authorities have warned law enforcement agencies about a possible drone attack originating from a vessel off the United States coast and allegedly tied to Iran. Now, at the exact same time, we have the Navy's E-6B Mercury, better known as the Doomsday plane, that's been spotted flying low over California during approach drills. Now, if you don't know what that aircraft is, that is the plane that's literally airborne command center for nuclear war. Its job is simple. If Washington is destroyed, if ground command is wiped out, if the U.S. is attacked in a catastrophic scenario, the plane becomes the backup brain of the entire U.S. military. It maintains communication with nuclear submarines that can transmit launch orders. It keeps the chain of command alive if the country is hit. So the question becomes, why is that aircraft suddenly flying around California while the FBI is warning about potential drone attacks off the West Coast? Because to me, that combination is not normal. And before we get to this, the last part of this video might actually be the most important piece of the puzzle. So stick around. Now, what the FBI actually said, this was intelligence alerts reviewed by ABC News. Federal authorities warned that the California law enforcement that Iran may attempt a retaliatory drone attack against targets on the U.S. West Coast if tensions escalate further. Now, the part that got my attention is the intelligence suggests these drones could be launched from a vessel positioned off the U.S. coastline. Think about that for a second. And remember back, I did a video about this years ago. Beijing is believed to be developing hidden weapons to strike enemy ports and ships. Hidden missiles in containers lift out ready to be fired. Now, we would be dumb to believe that this wasn't actually already in existence, because if you're a smart individual in any form of the military, you'd probably position something like that, kind of clandestine ships that could strike your enemies, right? That would make sense. The other thing I want to revert back to is that, remember back in New Jersey right before inauguration, all around the Northeast area, saw all those weird drones that look like, now we're thinking the Shahed drones, that one police officer, a female, she had a video. She's recording things coming out of the ocean. She talked about it. They took the video from her, and that police officer vanished off the face of the earth. You never heard about it again. So, to me, that was probably true. It was probably maybe conglomeration of our enemies, whatever. Because with a little ship or vessel, you don't need a military base, a missile base. You don't need a military airfield. You can launch drones from something as simple as a cargo ship, fishing vessel, or a container freighter. And suddenly you have kamikaze drones flying towards U.S. cities. And to be honest, my confidence level is down, because would they try to even stop it to get a buy-in from the American? Oh, America got hit like 9/11. Everyone's body was patriotic. So it makes me think that it's very possible they wouldn't even allow it. Or do you think we even have competent people in place to even protect us? Officials say they don't have a confirmed timeline or targets. Of course, you're not going to know that. Of course, you're not going to say that. They're not going to tell us that. But the fact that warning exists means one thing: they believe the capability is real, or they're planning a false flag attempt, or allowing something to happen. Right? Sometimes it's just being compromised, allowing something to happen. Okay, and we've seen that type of action throughout history. They allow an attack to happen, so that way it gives them reasoning in the public buy-in to take action. But the part nobody is talking about yet is launching drones from ships. Again, this is some crazy Hollywood movie. Iran has actually experimented with containerized drone launch systems. That means drones can be hidden inside standard cargo containers, the same containers that sit all over the world, and a lot of them outside of the California coastline, because that's where a lot of product comes in from foreign countries, Asia especially, into America. They can open it, launch it, and suddenly you have multiple drones flying toward targets hundreds of miles away. It's done, easy, right? Now imagine that sitting quietly on a cargo ship, looks like normal commercial traffic, until suddenly a swarm of drones launches toward the U.S. coastline. You think they're going to get all of them, right? And remember something important about this: California ports process about 40% of all imports coming into the United States. Thousands of ships move through those waters every year. Remember when Pete Buttigieg was in charge and he got the whole damn shipping lanes out there? There's cargo sitting out there. People trying to get UPS packages for months because he had it all when he was breastfeeding his kid. Right? But you wouldn't know which one to even look at because there's so many out there. How are you going to even search all of these things? And Iran has spent years developing this cheap drone tech here. Okay, the Shahed 136. This thing is giving us massive problems because we're spending, these things cost anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000. We're spending like $800,000 to shoot one of these things down. And we're burning through our stockpiles at the same time, right? These things are long range, GPS guided, extremely cheap. They're designed as kamikaze drones. Russia has used thousands of them in Ukraine. You've seen the footage. They buzz around with a propeller, slow approach, and then boom, impact. Now imagine dozens of those, hundreds of those approaching U.S. coastline offshore. Okay, imagine it.
To a missile, which requires a great big launch platform that can be targeted and taken out, and then the missiles are no longer useful. This can be launched from the back of a truck, from the middle of a field, from a boat, compared to a missile which requires a big production facility.
So it's a cheap knockoff, TEMU version. But some people may ask why California. Several reasons. First, California has massive strategic targets, naval bases, ports, defense contractors, technology infrastructure, power grid nodes. Second, California is psychologically symbolic. An attack there would generate massive media coverage, just like New York City. And third, it's, again, the closest U.S. coastline to Pacific Airways.
Population.
Meaning a vessel could theoretically launch drones without immediately raising alarms. And again, remember when all those drones were flying in the Northeast and they're all just hobby drones? So these people don't even know what's going on. And there's a lot of hobby drones. So theoretically, they could get away with something like this, right? Now, talk again for a second about the Doomsday plane, the E-6B Mercury, okay? This is a Navy program called TACAMO, stands for Take Charge and Move Out. Its job is to maintain communications with U.S. nuclear submarines and missile forces during national emergency. So in other words, the worst possible scenario ever happened, the plane keeps nuclear command structure alive. It acts like a flying command bunker. And when you suddenly see it doing drills over major population areas, obviously I'm going to ask questions. But the other thing where this gets interesting is the E-6B isn't even the only aircraft designed for this mission. There's also the E-4B Night Watch. That aircraft is the president's Doomsday plane, okay? It's basically a flying Pentagon. It allows the president and military leadership to command U.S. forces during a nuclear conflict. So essentially, America could be annihilated, okay? Come on, look at Eli level. shit, and they're up there making moves. So anytime global tensions rise, and we've seen them take off last year, right? They'll fly more frequently. Because if a catastrophic attack ever occurred, these aircraft allow the United States to continue operating even if Washington was destroyed. So when these aircraft suddenly appear in the news cycles, flying over California, you have to wonder, man, what is the military preparing for, right? And they're really not going to tell us everything. That's the part of this. So even them telling us this is either one of two things. One, potential attack. Or three things. Potential attack. They can stop it. Two, potential attack. They let it happen. Three, false flag. Those are three options, okay? Or maybe nothing happens at all, so it's all psyop. Because I've heard that they're talking about in some countries, guys said to me today, I think Vietnam, there's another country, that they're doing a two-week lockdown, like just like COVID, for fuel. Oh man, be scared, stay home, right? Terror cells. Like I saw a warning ago also that they're stating that maybe Hezbollah and Hamas may attack, and they have confirmed 18,000 of these operatives within the U.S. It goes back to why I was so pissed off about them going and picking up the construction workers and landscapers. Whenever they know 18,000, why are they not going after these guys first? Man, screw the drug dealers, man, go after the terrorists first, right? Let's do that. We're sitting on obviously several pressure points, major points, right? Middle East, pretty significant. Doesn't look like that's going to come to pass anytime soon. And obviously, Russia-Ukraine, BRICS, the formation of BRICS, I said this years ago, is that BRICS was going to be the anti-NATO. Don't think they're not all working together, okay? Don't think they're not. China, to me, by what we did with Iran, what we did in Venezuela, truthfully, I'm surprised China hadn't taken Taiwan yet, because in my opinion, it would give me a free pass to go take Taiwan. It really would. I said, well, y'all doing it here, I'm going to go do this. The bigger picture of this is that modern warfare is changing faster than most people realize. It doesn't start the way people think. People imagine tanks crossing borders, Red Dawn. It's not how it works anymore. Modern conflict begins with things like cyber attacks, infrastructure sabotage, drone strike, proxy forces, plausible deniability. Oh, we had nothing to do with that. You don't need a full invasion anymore. That's movies. You just need a few strategic disruptions. You see how much Americans hate each other? Dude, make the power grid go down in a certain area. Ports shut down. People can't get food, water, energy facilities hit. No AC, no heat. And then the economy on top of that is shaking right now. You add in all these things, you'll have people at the throats. You won't even have to send anybody. Americans will do the work for you. Okay? And the drones have become the poor man's cruise missile, guys. Look at what's been happening in Ukraine. Really, the Russia-Ukraine war has changed warfare, significantly in the past years, okay? For a few $1,000s, you can build a drone capable of flying hundreds of miles and hitting a target. Completely changed warfare. We got guys trying to create ammunition to be able to shoot down these drones so that they're not killing soldiers. You no longer need billion-dollar missile programs. You just need GPS coordinates, a launch point. So our militaries around the world are scrambling to develop drone defense systems. The Marine Corps is making that like their priority. They're bringing in guys as E7 to work in this field. So the next major attack somewhere in the world probably won't come from fighter jets. It'll come from something small, cheap, extremely difficult to stop once it's already airborne. Now, the question people are asking, when governments need public support for war, what historically changes public opinion almost overnight? A direct attack. Pearl Harbor, 9/11. History shows that when Americans feel personally threatened, public support for military action increases dramatically. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but history, man, shows me a different thing. It's how you shift public opinion. Maybe this intelligence report is just precautionary. Maybe it's psyop to scare. Maybe the doomsday plan is just, man, simply conducting routine drill. Maybe nothing happens. But when you start seeing multiple signals where the smoke is fired, you've heard me say this forever. FBI warnings, drone alerts, strategic military aircraft, the rising global tensions, you pay attention, man, because history has a strange habit of moving slowly until it doesn't. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Black Scout.
2, 3. 1, 2.
Basically how it is. Seen a lot of sensationalization of things. Sun coming up.
Iran is now claiming without evidence the United States attacked it from the United Arab Emirates. President Trump says the U.S., quote, obliterated several key military targets this week and that Iran's oil infrastructure could be next. Lucas Tomlinson joins us live from Dubai. Hi, Lucas.
Well, good afternoon, Rich. Today was the quietest day in the United Arab Emirates since this war started. Only 4 ballistic missiles and 6 drones fired from Iran. That's a far cry from the more than 1,600 drones and nearly 300 ballistic missiles that Iran has fired here since the start of the war. That's 3 times the amount of projectiles fired here that have been fired at Israel. And Iran's foreign minister claims he's only striking American bases in the region.
We are only targeting American assets, American installations, American military bases. Everything belongs to Americans. They, attacked our islands using HIMARS artillery rockets, which are low-range, rockets, and they used the territory of UAE to attack us.
Now, some residents here would like a word with Mr. Arachi, Rich, after hotels and skyscrapers have been hit by drones or falling debris. Now, there are satellite-guided rockets that could reach Iran's Harg Island from U.S. Army HIMARS launchers if needed. That island in the northern Persian Gulf, as we just heard from Mike, is a major choke point for Iran, a strategic target responsible for 96% of Iran's oil exports. Trump ordered the oil untouched, only military targets for now. Now, as a result of the American attack on the island, Iran retaliated by launching a drone strike here in the UAE near the Strait of Hormuz at the Fujairah oil terminal, which can be used to ship oil across land via pipeline and avoid the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran's foreign minister says Iran has only closed the Strait of Hormuz to American and Israeli interests only. Keep in mind, Rich, only 2% of tankers transiting the strait ever reach American shores. China gets 40% of its oil using that critical waterway. Iran, 90% of its oil out. Now, President Trump's energy secretary predicts this war could be ending soon.
I think that this conflict will certainly come to the end in the next few weeks. Could be sooner than that, but the conflict will come to the end in the next few weeks, and we'll see a rebound in supplies and a pushing down of prices after that.
No. See, there's no excuses for prices to go up. No excuses.
So this appears to be a showdown, Rich. Iran wants to keep the Strait of Hormuz hostage. President Trump wants to return the favor and do the same thing to Harg Island. Now, here on the ground in Dubai, I can say tourism has taken a major hit. Hotel occupancy is way down. It's gone from 90% down to 8% in some cases, even down to 1%. The nightclubs, too, are pretty empty, Rich.
Incredible. Usually a pretty busy place. Consequences across the region and the world. Lucas Tomlinson, thanks so much for joining us.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Going to be ground troops in.
Families, we've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil.
So tell me then, why are gas prices up in America? Why are, if we have so much oil and this doesn't affect us, why are gas prices?
Very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time. And we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands. Since their last hit, they had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder. Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. but I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
To Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that, and why should Americans trust Marco
The
Rubio
lady
to
holding her hand up.
negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history.
Question?
Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration.
Get her hand up.
They trust
Call me.
Marco.
Call me.
And so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it. And we cut them off from everything else. So, yeah, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
And a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it. And I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries. You know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more. But whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries. But that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country. But they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar, they have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships. These were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be a determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well,
are
we're
you
looking to
considering
keep the
measures
oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference, and we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy, it's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America, and we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men in women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children, and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country, if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up but we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new Supreme Leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
Well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been decided?
I like the
and
idea
wiped
of, you know, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, you know, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, you know, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people. But, you know, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and made so beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have, it's brought to the refineries. It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways.
That dude was super salty for. It didn't sound like he was deflecting it. He's saying that there's an investigation. Before we know exactly what happened, I'm not going to jump in crazy because that's just what it is. Like Tomahawk cruise missile is like all of Stark's weapons ever created. Everybody in the world has access. America's weapons, aside from some of the more top tiers, all the cheap shit, throw a great value sticker on it and sell it as Walmart brand.
But
But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich
The United
countries, are
States
very
took over
lucky
the
that I
Middle
was
East first.
president instead of somebody else.
Points of disagreement between yourself and your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete and everybody was involved, I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing. In the back, please, in the back. About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. You know, it doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Leader,
Yeah,
have
right.
called him an
It
unacceptable
ain't your honor
choice.
to do it.
So does he?
Y'all are doing it so you could hold it over everybody's head.
But hey,
Like
look,
you either do what we say, or we'll let them take your oil back.
that was after me. So we just got them first, but they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody that was after me. So, you know, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the
Will
people?
I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave. But they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflict, it's been a very big 2 days, I have to say. And we'll be heading back to Washington, D.C. right after this. And I'd like to wish everyone a very good evening. And over the weekend, the United States military and the Israeli Defense Forces continued Operation Epic Fury very successfully. Over the past 9 days, we've carried out some of the most powerful and complex military strikes and maneuvers the world has ever seen. Now, you add that up to all of the other things, Midnight Hammer, getting rid of the nuclear threat from Iran, which was a big moment in history, in my opinion, and the great success we've had in Venezuela and all other places. Every place we've gone, we've had tremendous success. But while we're doing all of these things, we're achieving major strides toward completing our military objectives. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50 ships. I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many. Didn't last very long. And these are fighting vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing's been hit starting today. We know all of the places they manufacture the drones, and they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately, right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out.
Heat up some.
We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with the situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole where they were involved. Very strongly, they always denied it. But where they were very strongly involved, and all of the people that died through the roadside bombs died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear, we want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site, and that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time. It threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number of missiles, most of which are now being used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully used, because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, and all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world, and I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea. But we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary. If it is, and if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. it will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas.
I've already heard that. They just played it from the beginning. The moment I heard that. Damn. Or if that. I guess this is what happened overnight.
Where are they going?
Well, that's a half admission by Donald Trump. He says the high-end stock buy
Okay, guys, any fires? Gonna play how this is going to run on stream. So. I love when that happens. Crash something. Reason BS is acting really stupid. BS is dumb.